yourself.
All right, we're now checking out the Pit Infinite.
Which
So what is
okay.
this vexing
So-
frost first-person shooter video game you've shown?
years and years ago. Okay, now see, it's pretty much none of those things that you described at all. All of those words, throw them out the window.
Oh no.
So, years and years ago, a little game came out called Sword of the Stars: The Pit. It was a roguelike with kind of like an inventory management system a la Diablo, and like a semi-robust crafting system where you played as like a marine or an engineer going into some spaceship facility, something or another, to do roguelike things.
Yeah, it's a pretty. It was a pretty hardcore roguelike, like an actual roguelike, not a roguelite. No progression, just straight up a roguelike.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about this.
And this is what if we had made that game, but it was a first-person shooter.
Yep. And also co-op?
And literally, it is like the most faithful translation possible. It's just straight up that game.
Yeah. It's like, the only difference is it's in real time instead of turn-based now, basically.
It's funny because some things do things based on like a number of turns, and this game just took anything that's turns is now moments, and it just takes like time, like every 10 seconds or whatever,
like,
it counts a turn. It's
Yeah.
kind of bizarre.
And some things are a lot more difficult, and some things are a lot less difficult thanks to that.
You know, I kind of like this new trend of like taking like weird fucking roguelites and just turning them into like regular shooters, just translating them directly and making them just a really robust shooter. Same with like what was it? Risk of Rain 2.
Don't take any confusion here. This is not a robust shooter. The shooting mechanics are kind of awful.
Oh, okay.
They might
it
get
is
better.
very much an RPG.
But yeah, it's sounding like they did essentially do the same thing as they did for Risk of Rain 2.
A little bit. It's kind of like Fallout without VATS, kind of.
Now I see. See, I'm enjoying this because I'm the other player in this footage, and I remember kind of what was happening. So like, I just watched myself walk out that door, look one direction, and then whip around. And I was like, what was that for? And then you look around the corner and there's a fucking turret shooting me.
So there's 3 classes / characters. There's the Marine, the Engineer, and the Scout. And we're playing the Marine and the Engineer.
Yeah, so...
I believe you can
kind of
play
a-
this 3 players, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. But only 3 because there's only 3 characters, and the characters are exclusive to each other. You can't have 2 in one game.
Yeah. But the actual game that this is based off of eventually adds a bunch of additional classes later, including a big alien bug thing. So, you know,
which I'm pretty
that might
sure
show
we get
up
to
eventually.
see a few of in this footage. The big alien bugs, I mean.
I don't think it's actually I don't think it's the same alien, but as that one. It's like a different alien. But yeah, so it's like straight up there's hallways, and I was looking around in the room because I heard bats, but I couldn't see bats.
Yeah.
Then I was
and
like,
then
they must be in a different room, and I start walking out and get killed or attacked from behind.
The bats do that all the time. So something I've noticed is the bats actually do hide on the ceiling. So
Yeah.
like, this game does take advantage of its perspective. It doesn't just like purely translate it to a grid, you know.
Yeah, but it's funny just how similar like the actual game is in terms of like it has rooms that kind of open the same way, and there's like traps and stuff that function identically, and even like grenades work the same.
Completely fucking identical. The skills,
Yeah,
and the way that you level up, which
foraging
I don't think we leveled up yet here,
and picking locks on doors, and just everything is so identical. The enemies are identical.
They pretty much act the same way. I don't even know what the fuck that thing was. I've never seen one of those. like in either version of the game. So I don't think there are any new enemies. I think that this is just like a 1-to-1 recreation.
Dalsson threw a grenade at me.
Yes, yeah, I was trying to forage something, but I accidentally hit the grenade button instead.
Luckily, there doesn't seem to be a lot of friendly fire, at least with grenades.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we tested there is friendly fire with, like, even swinging around swords, friendly fire. A lot of the doors are locked, which if you are playing alone and as a Marine, really fucking sucks for you, because the Marine starts with guns, but, like, no tools and no skills.
Yeah, so, one thing you can run out of lockpicks, and we sort of eventually figured out that if that happens, you can just blow the door up if you have to. But it takes a lot of resources, so it's probably not the best way to go, but...
Yeah, so, like, you have to
it's
expend
something
ammo anyway.
do. Yeah.
Also, the melee weapons are not unlimited. You'll notice that Saine's melee weapon here has, like, a 24 out of 25. They have durability, and they take durability per swing, not per hit, so they're essentially limited on ammo.
No, I think they're per hit.
Are they?
I think you have to hit something, but if you hit something that's not an enemy, it does extra damage. So, like, you can't just attack walls and stuff.
A la Dark Souls.
Yeah, but if you're just swinging in the air, I don't think it does anything. And then the guns also have durability, so, like, if you're shooting things, eventually they'll get weaker and weaker, and you have to use repair kits and stuff on them as well.
But, unfortunately, the repair kits reduce their maximum durability, so really you're just fucked. It's just a war of attrition.
Yeah, unless you find, like, a repair bench, and then you do a skill check, and if you succeed the skill check, then you don't reduce your durability. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of, like, very much roguelike systems, kind of oddly translated into this game.
Placed on top of a first-person shooter, yeah, it's
fun.
It's interesting. And these door traps, let me tell you, sometimes they're beneficial. Like, I've had it. That one was not. That was a damage one.
And you failed your check.
But I've had it where, like, I will, like, fail to disarm a trap, and then it will just give me plus 100 health, because it was a plus 100 health trap.
The grenade bounced off of
Wow, it didn't even kill either of them.
So the grenades, maybe not the greatest translation. Of all of the things, they work a lot worse than they do in the roguelike version.
Yeah, in the roguelike version, you can obviously aim it, but it's really hard to aim in this one because things are constantly moving at you.
Also, because you can't pause, we have to, like, close the door and hope nothing attacks us while we're, like, messing around.
Yeah. So this is the skill system. Every 5 points into an attribute gives you +1 to all of the skills that are under it. Other than that, it gives you the option of leveling up your skills. But you can only... Basically, you can put one, like, click into them per level. The number of points that you put in with the one click is random. So...
Yeah, so sometimes something will give you 3 points randomly, and it'll be like, okay, well, I put a point into that, because, I mean, might as well. Right, and other times it's like 1 point. It's like, well, I really need this skill, but... You know.
But it's not really worth 1 point. It's not going to get me anything until the next level anyway, so...
Yeah, so there's, like, some trade-off there.
Yeah.
I like how you lay down to sleep in, like, in the bed with the fucking rot pile on the ground. It's like, this is fine. I'll just sleep here.
Yeah, man, that gives it its extra spring.
And then there's, like, regenerating health and hunger and all of that stuff.
No, the health doesn't regenerate.
I think it does.
Really?
Yeah, I think it does based on time. So you can just sit there if you want, but it takes from your health bar. Or your hunger bar, rather.
Food, yeah. Oh, I remember this part. This is where we get bum rushed by literally the entire level.
Yeah.
See, I feel like there should be things in place to prevent this from happening, but
it was a fun,
It was kind of fun, yeah. But it reminds me of, like, Fallout New Vegas, where, like, you shoot one guy and suddenly the entire world cell just knows exactly where you are and starts coming out of the woodwork through fucking the entire level.
Yeah.
And by the time that you've finish the fight, you've cleared the entire level, and you can just kind of walk through it without any resistance.
It's like it's like we opened a door to a monster zoo, except that door was the opening of the whole map.
Yeah.
There's so many enemies at this part. It's crazy.
I don't know how we survived, truthfully.
I think you died. And right now I'm
Oh yeah, I did
I'm
die.
killing everything on my own.
And look at your fucking health. You have to pull out your knife, and you finally get it. Jesus. There's no reason you should have lived through that. Like, see, that should have been the end of the run.
So when your partner dies, you can pick up his corpse and then find a respawning station.
Actually, like, pick up the corpse to your inventory. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So here I'm using health kits, but because my health isn't great, I'm failing to use my
medical. Yeah, you can't use your med kit on yourself because you're bad at medicine.
I failed twice, so I'm just like, you know what? I'll just keep going.
Thankfully, your co-op partner can heal you if you have points into that.
Oh, and you have to manually reload in this game as well.
Oh yeah.
So
if you run out of ammo and click, just nothing happens.
Yeah, which when you're trying to like do stuff can make
That's
you panic.
actually why I died in this situation, I think. And see, now you have to just like roll the dice on disabling. Oh my god, is that what that does?
Yes. Remember when I was complaining about being blind? This is what I was seeing.
I see. Well, at least you found a resurrection pod.
Yeah, so I just happened to get really lucky in that the first door that I went to happened to be like a med room, and the med room happened to have a resurrection pod.
Otherwise, he'd just have to carry my body around until he found a medical room.
And now I can't like see anything still. I'm like, Dalsson, where'd you go?
Didn't you run into the trap again on your way out?
My computer skills 7. Hey, I did it.
Nice. Yeah, so that's one thing that I find like a little strange. So like
I'm like, hey, how can I not even use my inventory when it's like this?
You can't see to use the PDA when you're completely blind.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, oh good, it finally ended.
So the characters have like different skill sets, right? They pretty much just start with different skills. Like obviously the Marine has really high might, but the Engineer starts with really high brains, and the Scout starts with really high finesse. But the Engineer pretty much starts with high skill in everything in finesse and brains, and in mechanical. He starts with high skills with everything that's like not a weapon. So like, it's really easy for me to heal you with a med kit, which is an option for me to do. But when you want to use like a computer that heals you, like an auto dock, you have to use your own computer skills. Like, why can't I just use the auto dock while you're standing on it?
Yeah. The nice thing about the Marine, though, is he does start with a larger variety of weapons and grenades.
I start with basically a pea shooter that glances on every shot. It's terrible.
I mean, I was glancing earlier when I was shooting stuff with a pistol, too, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weapon has multiple fire modes. Like, you can see this gun has a burst fire on it. Most of the shotguns have burst fires on it, too.
Yeah, the shotgun's burst fire is very good, but the one that the Engineer starts with is like a 2-shot boomstick, so if you don't kill something in the 2 shots, you're SOL. The Engineer, I feel like, is not a character that is made for solo play.
I don't know, maybe. I feel like I remember playing the roguelike version, and he was one of the harder ones to do on your own. But you do get a lot of beneficial equipment, so it probably can be done. And the Marine has the opposite problem, where he has all of the good guns, but he can't like do anything.
Yeah, he has no skills, he has no equipment, so once he's out of like health kits, that's it. He can just kill everything.
And so the Scout ends up being the most balanced, because at least she has like lockpicks and stuff.
Yeah, she has a couple of equipment items and like decent skills and guns that are better than the Engineers.
Yeah, so here's a thing that I'm waiting for Dalston to disarm this trap. he just ran through and got electrocuted, and then he tried to disarm it and failed and got electrocuted. So he was waiting for a status effect to wear off before he could actually undo it for me.
Because of the electricity, it actually made it harder to disarm the electric trap. That was the status that it gave me.
Yo, real quick question: what's the deal with Dalsson's character model's costume? Why is he popping the booty like that?
I don't.
I think the animations in general are a little funky in this game.
They should not change them at all. If I'm gonna play a first-person shooter, I want to know that he's running around fully cheeked up.
Fully cheeked up.
Yeah, so this game, I'm almost surprised it just came out like this. It's not early access or anything. Not to say that it's bad exactly. It's just, it feels so weird. It's like really, I don't know.
It feels finished, but it feels like not quite polished enough to me.
Yeah.
It feels like it's right before 1.0, basically.
Right, exactly.
Like it could use a spit shine.
Yeah, like it could use another maybe texture pass. It could use maybe a little bit of animation stuff. And then maybe like just some changes to it to make it easier to be a first-person shooter. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
Like maybe like, oh yeah, here I tried to open the door and I clicked on the go up button.
Yeah. So sorry you're seeing a lot of load screens, but you know.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it's a video game.
Video game.
I have played one before.
Yes.
I don't know what
there are also different ways to go up and down floors. Like most of the time it's an elevator, but I think even on this one actually is a floor transition that's like a hole.
I remember what happened there.
In the ground.
So what happened there was you used a scanner to see if there was anything around the corner, and you said, yeah, there's definitely stuff around the corner. So I'm like, okay, I'll throw a grenade, and I threw the grenade, and then we turned the corner, and there's nothing there.
And yeah, all the stuff that I thought was there was in the next room over, and it's coming to us now.
Yeah, so that's why I just threw a grenade at nothing.
Excuse me.
That's why we were sitting in the elevator for so long. I was using a hand scanner.
Yeah, so like I said, grenades have had the worst transition. They don't seem to they're really difficult to hit things with.
Yeah. And they aren't really that impactful either. Like you're not gonna
if you hit them.
Yes, sometimes they do like 30 damage. That's like 3 shots worth of gun.
Yeah, and having to manually switch to them can make it hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a crafting system and like a food system, and this game does have like one form of progression in that as you go on,
sort of, it's vague.
As you go on, there's these like consoles, and if you like successfully use the console or repair the console and then use the console, and then translate the info, then you can unlock recipes and stuff. And story about like what happened to this like derelict station or whatever. I guess it's not derelict.
Some of them are like tips, like watch out for those things that look like viruses, because if they hit you, you'll get a virus.
Yeah.
You know, and it even does like hints and stuff like that. But I think that's more just to fill out the things so that you don't get a recipe every time you translate one.
Yeah. Diseases are brutal though in this game.
As
Dalsson knows.
So in the roguelike version, it was like every 10 turns, you had a chance to increase your disease by 1 or decrease your disease by 1. Which wasn't so bad because it was like you had time to think about it. If you got really unlucky, in 100 turns, you would get to disease level 10, which kills you instantly. If you were really unlucky. Sometimes it would go up and down for a long time. In this one, it's every 10 seconds it chooses whether to go up or down, which gives you a lot less time than 100 turns.
Yeah, so there was it was like, and because it was just happening all at once, then it was hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm. The only way to reduce your disease counter is to use like a med kit or an antibiotic or something.
And see, that's the terminal that I was talking about.
Yeah,
It looks
you
like
hack those, or you repair them, hack them, and then translate the alien writing.
yeah, it looks like Dalsson failed to hack it successfully, so now it's just sitting there.
Yeah, the first time we played, I put a lot of points into that because I didn't know what it did, and now that I did know what it did, I was like, this isn't useful to my survival, and I didn't put a lot of points into it.
Fair enough. I think we did end up getting a decent number of those later on, though.
Yeah, we got a couple of them, I think. Yeah, so this game really encourages you to explore every room. Like, food seems like a limiting factor for time, but it really doesn't limit you. They start you out with so much food that, like, before you're done eating the food they start you with, you'll probably be on floor, like, 5 or 6.
Yeah, Tonka
And by then you'll
Warbread.
have found... Yeah, Tonka. Like the trucks.
Yeah, and you could do things like make sandwiches. They call them bland witches in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Because they're 3D printed out of organic matter. Or something.
I think you can handcraft them. There's lots of rotten cheese, and if you eat it, you can get a disease.
Yeah. Which is, as we covered, the worst.
There's also... You can get poisoned, and you can use anti-venom to deal with it.
But the poison isn't so bad. Instead, poison will just apply a level of poison, and you take a damage, and the level goes down every 10 seconds. So, like, it's not nearly as bad as the disease, which has a chance to just be a death sentence if you don't have
I thought the
antibiotics.
poison could go up, too, but I don't actually remember.
I'm pretty sure it can't. I'm pretty sure that things inflict it, like, at a high level, and it goes down, instead of disease, which always gets inflicted at 1.
Right. Yeah, I was kind of fiddling with the crafting system.
Yeah, it's not super robust yet, but once you unlock some of those terminals and get more options, it probably has a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So there's, like, a lot of containers to open, and, you know, there's some rotten cheese.
Lots of rotten cheese to collect. I don't know why you're collecting the rotten cheese. You were pretty sure that you could break it down into biological components or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think
down the rotten cheese.
I think eventually you find a machine that turns things into, like, chemicals if you throw it in there. And so I was carrying it because why not? But we never ran into any of that, so. But I feel like I vaguely remember that from when I played that roguelike, like, 3 years ago. So,
yeah, it sounds right. I remember. So we have gotten a lot farther in this than I ever got in the roguelike version.
I got about as far, I think. I got about as far. One of the benefits is playing this game in co-op makes it, like, way easier.
It's true.
Also, a lot more, like, bearable.
One of the things that I'm, like, noticing is that we have yet to find a single gun this entire run. Oh, God! It's the fucking Mimic! I forgot about him!
Yeah,
I didn't see him last time.
I was just waiting for that, because...
Because you knew which,
when I saw him, when I saw the footage walking up to that box, I was like, oh, here it comes. Yeah, when I saw that, I freaked out. I was like, oh my god.
So, Mimics. Yeah, I think that was the first time we ever encountered one.
Yeah. I'd run into those enemies not looking like that before, but...
See those high explosive pistol rounds? They
Yeah.
do less damage than my regular pistol rounds.
I think it depends what you're shooting, maybe. I think they do less damage to robots, but more to, like, fleshy people.
Maybe.
I don't know, that sounds right.
It sounds right, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
They do glancing blows more often, which is really bad. And I think it's maybe because my character's pistol skill is low, but, like, there's not much I can do about that. He starts with low gun skills.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could put points into guns, but, like, it kind of sucks trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's what happens when you take the skill monkey class.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed
Not
to, like, the role player
Dumb
class.
The role player class. Yeah, it's true.
roll as in ROLL player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the map in the corner. They look very similar to,
That's funny that you said that right when you brought the map up. In the
yeah, I don't know.
footage.
I think I looked at the map, it's like, there's a little corner over there, but do you actually want to clear it? And you were like, no. And I'm like, okay, let's keep going.
Ah, yes, yeah.
But the
That
maps,
happens often.
the maps also look pretty identical. It feels like what this game kind of was for the developers was like, let's just take the game and make 3D models, and then just that's it. We already did all of the, like, game balancing, that's it.
Fallen as hell, you funky video game.
Oh, I stepped on a mine, I think.
Yeah. Or I may have thrown a grenade at our feet. That's possible. I do that sometimes. I am known to do that.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm being eaten by a rabid bat.
Or those, they're called Zools. Zuul, those little worm guys.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They turn into the, like, hedgehog people later.
They turn into, like, rabid Resident Evil dogs.
I threw the grenade way over there and they all ran up to us.
Yeah, see, that's one of the reasons that the grenades are fucking useless. Because,
The enemies are so fast.
well, the enemies are fast and they all run up to you. Like, a grenade would probably be good against this guy, but he just fucking started booking. Also, why can't we pick up his weapon?
I love how you're fighting and I'm just catching them as they run away.
Can you
Yeah.
play as the lizard?
I think that was an option in the Sword of the Stars, the pit.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. They added, like, 10 classes or something later on. But these were the original 3. The original 3 that are here were the original 3 when the original version came out.
Okay.
So, it's probably just the case that they'll add them later.
Right.
Fair enough.
In Sword in the Stars Infinite, or Sword in the Stars The Pit Infinite Gold, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the creature from the fucking Black Lagoon.
I know.
The creature from the garbage can.
It's
Basically.
true. That's where he came from. Because I don't know where else he came from, because we cleared out the fucking hallway before we came in here.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were very confused about that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it came through the air vent or something.
You know, I did see an enemy do that, I think. Not 100% sure.
Yeah, one of the things, too, is your armor degrades over time.
Yeah, pretty much everything degrades over time.
So, like, as you continue, you kind of lose resources and stuff as well.
Yeah. And it takes a skill check to repair armor successfully. The worse you do on the skill check, the more max durability it takes away. It's just terrible. And I could imagine it being even more terrible if Saine were playing as the Marine alone, for example. Because every time he needed a repair on his armor, he gave it to me.
Yeah,
I'm better at repairing.
pretty much. That was the problem with the Marine originally, too, though. Except
Yeah,
he would be more likely to live, though, so it's like... What do you want to do? Die slowly and run out of everything, or die quickly and...
Never get to use all the shit you have.
Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah. C'est la vie.
Yeah, so I like this game quite a bit. As kind of janky as it feels in places, it's actually pretty fun, especially in co-op.
Yeah, I find it pretty fun. I honestly, my one critique is I wish we would find more, like, more random stuff. Like, we find a lot of crafting materials, a lot of enemies to kill, and a lot of food, and, like, consumables. But I think in all of our time playing this, a good, like, 5 or 6 hours, we found, like, one single gun that we didn't start with.
I think it was 2. I think it was 2, but both times we didn't have ammo for it.
Oh yeah, we found laser guns and never laser ammo. Yeah, so
Yeah.
like we haven't ever even found a gun that is viable to use in 5 hours of play. I wish.
I think one time I found a rifle as the scout, but I didn't have ammo for it again.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
And
so I
even
do wish
then,
that there were a little more variety there.
And even then, eventually you'll run out of ammo as well. And then you
Yeah.
have to just start punching things.
Yeah, because eventually you'll have no ammo, no sword, no nothing if you don't find something new.
Yeah. Or get lucky with repair benches. But that's kind of how I felt with the original game. Like, the original game was very difficult. And it kind of played out in a similar way, where eventually you just started running out of equipment. And that was a game where, because it was a turn-based game, like, you had, like, 100% of your shots would hit, basically. Or you wouldn't just shoot at nothing for a while, you know what I mean? Like, you would either hit or miss, and it would be a roll or whatever, instead of just a bad player missing will just lose more quickly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what are you trying to say, Saine?
I'm not saying anything about you. I'm just saying, if you are shooting at the wall or something, you're gonna run out, like, you'll run out faster, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and there's no way to really mitigate that. Oh, and here's that page was like half translated information or whatever.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to hack multiple computers to translate the page, but like it doesn't work in that, like, okay, you've translated half the page this run, so the next computer will be the other half of the page. It just chooses what page to give you at random, so you have to, like, if you translate half a page and you know it's a recipe for something, you can't just seek out the other half of the page. You just have to wait for the next one to roll.
Yeah, and you can't, if you have half a recipe, you can't just guess at what the last piece would be either. It's like you either know the recipe or you don't.
Yeah.
So
See, I kind of wish that you could just guess, because that would make it so that it's not, like, actually any roguelite progression. But
yeah, and that's the one piece that's like an actual progression thing.
Yeah. And see, those are the little sharpening kits. Those are the things that you need to sharpen your knives.
Yeah.
But they'll eventually make it so that you can't use your melee weapon at all.
Yeah, eventually it'll reduce the durability to the point where it'll break really quickly anyway.
You know, okay, so you haven't opened the inventory in a little while, but there's like something I just noticed now is there's a whole bunch of equipment slots, and we've never found anything to go in any of them.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just armor, weapon. There's like 9 equipment slots, and we've never found something for them. Like, man.
Like a helmet. I've never found a helmet. There's definitely a helmet
What's
slot.
a helmet?
Yeah, but we've only done a handful of runs of this game, so it's very possible that maybe we were just getting unlucky, or maybe helmets are really good or something, so they drop kind of infrequently, so I don't know. Part of the issue is because this is, like, there's a finite number of things. If you're playing in co-op, you have to share resources, essentially. So I don't know if it's balanced differently because of that or not either. I would hope so, but I haven't tested it, so.
Right.
But
yeah, I
don't know.
play like one run by myself, and it wasn't much different.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know. That's what this game
small
is.
Sample size. Yeah. It's just a first-person shooter made from the backbone of a roguelike.
And as much as I have complaints with the game, I actually do really enjoy it, so I don't want people to get the wrong impression.
Fun. Yeah.
Especially if you have somebody to play it with and, like, figure it out with.
Yeah.
It seems like it's got a little bit of jank, but that's probably just because it's a roguelike that was ported to a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a very strange game. But in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually the elevator's broken and you have to, like, jump through holes to,
yeah,
like, get
so
to
I
the
guess
next
we
level.
didn't get footage of that particular part, but yeah, eventually you, like, because as it stands right now, you can go back up, but you can't go back up once you have to start jumping through the bottom of the floor.
Yeah. So that's Sword in the Stars: The Pit. We like it. If you liked it, maybe consider picking it up. Give us a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more, looks at random videos like this, or random video games like this. join our Discord. We have a pretty big community that is pretty active on our Discord channel, and we have a Patreon if you want to support us that way too. Thanks for joining us, and remember, as always,
stay beautiful.